been the host and the hostess planning a lot of this, and I told them at the house today they were a host and the hostess with the mostest.
Absolutely.
And I won't tell you what Gladys' response was. But we appreciate what they have done, and I have always thought that when I went to Marion, I could get by with almost anything if I said I'm Mama Owens' son, Doug Owens' brother, or Fernandale's brother-in-law. I felt like, I could just almost get by with anything. And I've learned in the last few months that we have a similar situation in Florence. If you say I'm Bob's brother, it happens. And that's all we had to do at the hotel here to identify ourselves, and they have rolled out the red carpet for us. The rooms are great. They've done a good job setting up for us. They don't seem like they can do enough for us. And we appreciate the effort. Bobby has talked with most of you on the telephone, coordinating this, the timing, the room reservations, the number of guests for dinner, and all of those things. And it takes a lot of time, I assure you. And we appreciate Bobby's efforts in doing that. We also are being videotaped, in case you didn't know it. So you're on candid camera. When you're looking at the camera, smile.
I want my best
You may
side
get
to
to see
show.
it again. Appreciate them doing that for us. We hopefully still have a few more that are coming, but we recognize that there are those who would love very much to be here. And those who are not here, I assure you, feel very badly that they were unable to arrange their schedule for various reasons, some extremely heavy work schedule. We talked to some on the phone, others with other situations that they just felt it impossible to get away. But we understand that. But it is a treat to get together on this very special occasion. And I believe before dinner, I believe we're supposed to have a song.
Yes.
A special song, and I must admit, if it's good, fine. If it's not, I've not previewed it. It's not been rehearsed to me. So with the need of the day, I think they have worded this, and I understand that they're supposed to sing a special song.
You're going to get turned around and
We don't have that every time.
No, Taylor can get on
Yeah.
that. The program gets better after this song.
Come over here. Come over here.
Well, at least they come over here.
Yeah, come over there.
Take the focus off of that.
M is for the many kids she carried. A is for the age she never shows.
M is for the mischief we got into. A is for the alibis we told to. O is for the Owens name we cherish.
W, you know we love you so. E is for exquisite pie she bakes me.
You changed the word.
And you know that no one loves you more. S is for the smiles in all your pictures. Put them all together, they spell Mama Owens. This gal we know.
It's going to be a fun party. They make me smiling. Were you ready?
you one thing, no grass is grown under their feet this weekend for sure. And we appreciate that. Okay, I believe at this time, I hope they're about ready to start serving. And before they start, we're going to ask Doug, wherever he is, to turn thanks.
Our Father, we're grateful for the occasion that we are celebrating today. We thank you that we can look back over the years and recognize where we have come from. We've made great progress under the leadership of our mother. We're grateful for that leadership. We thank you for the protection that you've given the family. So many things have happened to us that are mostly good. We thank you for the fellowship, closeness to family. We thank you especially for your love to each one of us. We pray that you bless this occasion, make it a joyful and a memorable occasion. Bless the food of our bodies, and especially bless our travel as we return to our homes. In Jesus' name we pray.
We know that in your life, there's a lot of sunshine, there's a lot of rain, and this part is to help you take care of everything. The hat is for the sunny days on the beach for at least 2 decades to come, and the decorations are for those proverbial rainy days. And this is for a little picnic.
She's got to stand up. Uncle Bobby's head is right in her. Uncle Bobby's head is right in front of my mama. That's Jimmy. No, Jimmy, I'm sorry. There we go. Is that better? That's good.
Now we're getting
Work on the yard.
I just have a request for the same thing for Christmas from our granddaughter here on Mama's Way. I'm not giving her
Where is that thing? Tell mother that she cannot wear it to church, but that pastor will pluck them grass.
that one will. He'll take his eyes off of it, won't he?
No, he pluck all the grass.
all right, we're moving right along. We have a special dessert tonight, baked by a special chef that we would like to give special recognition to. Now, if you have not seen it, you need to see it, and I'll ask my capable assistant at the other end of the table to please hold it up.
The cake, honey, the cake.
It says, "Happy birthday, Mama."
If you don't know who I'm talking about, it's our oldest sister right here on the right. The first born.
My pride and joy.
I'm told that she had some help from a son-in-law to make the flowers or whatever you call those things, rosettes or whatever, right? Okay. We've been asked to serve both desserts at the same time so that you get them like pie and ice cream. You may want to work them together. So, Lily, if you'll, let's go ahead and some help will come with a girl can help you pass it out, and the regular people will pass out the other desserts.
It has been requested that we save the top layer on the cake so that on Mama's actual birthday on December the 9th that she can have her own birthday party with her lovely neighbor ladies who are not here tonight.
And her son at home.
numb the nerves out of it.
See, I didn't mean to do that.
Look at this little guy.
I'm holding this tape player in my hand.
Lily? Put the top back on.
Who said that? Who said that? Raise your hand.
Where's the camera?
Mama, do you need it back up?
Who's got a camera?
You put your hand. Put your hand. Come here, you check out the camera.
Where do we go? Give me a second.
I think you should come on. Wait a minute.
If you mess up, back up.
That's from a... Hold on one second.
That's okay. But remember, I just want my best side.
Yeah, let me get the picture of Lily.
All right, I'm gonna get up there with the knife like he's gonna cut it.
Gotta get up closer. Smile, Lily. How do you run this?
This is the,
That's the Zoom. I got that. Now, how's
All
that?
right, Tanya, you wanna get a picture of that? Girl, back off a little bit.
just for a moment.
David, you know how to operate that?
Yeah, I'm gonna let her do it though. I got her face in there.
Okay. One,
You go ahead and cut it, it's on a
two,
still one. Stop.
Daddy.
Look this way now.
My hands are clean.
Wait a minute, another one, another one.
All right. Okay, you can turn it over to him now.
Yeah, go right ahead.
about who's gonna be doing the talking, I said, no way we need one. But I'm beginning to wonder now.
Okay.
All right, the first song, we'll sing the first one there that says, there's a song in the air. I think you're all familiar with it. And then we'll go right on into the second verse here. All right? All together.
Begin in the springtime. In the prime of Mama Owens' life, she came as number 4 in a family of 8. Born in Dillon County, South Carolina, to John Robert and Nora Panton. Her life was, no doubt, hopscotch, jack rocks, jump rope, and baby dolls. Yes, her lap has held many babies passing through, and some of us stayed. Okay, my turn. My turn. While it was still springtime, oh, how can I say it? Excuse me just a moment. Love came in. I mean, there was this girl, she was all of 14 years and 5, wait just a minute. She was 14 years and 5 months old, and she met this dashing 19-year-old. And what happened? Romance was in the air, and a bride we had. Look at Mama. A beautiful bride at 14 and a little under a half. Now, Mama and Papa, Fanny and Breaker, were walking. You'll be interested to know that a friend of theirs took them to be married. But it doesn't take long and things begin to pick up. In this first year, we saw this beautiful, slim, brown-eyed lady, a little resemblance to that pretty little girl that was right there. Exciting. What a pair. Breaker was young and dashing and 19 and gorgeous. And do you know that they moved from walking to riding? But I think first before the ride, we had something else. Kathy, excuse me, I didn't prompt her at just the right time. Hold on just a moment. Now, if you like this rehearsal, we'll do it all over again. Now, they started out walking, and you know what came into their lives so soon? The first year, the first beautiful year, was a beautiful baby girl. A beautiful Okay. Mama, our photographer has asked that as these people come in, would you please stand up and recognize that they're coming in so the camera can recognize where you are. Okay? How's that? Did I do that well?
Great.
Okay. Okay, now, hold on, I gotta find my place here. I know that we think of people being married, at least in the summer of their life, but 14 and a half and 15 and a half is hardly summer. So we're still springtime. Other things are happening.
Still rehearsing.
This is still the rehearsing. Yeah, all right, good. It's so much fun to be among friends. Now, there was this wonderful little baby and this new bride and groom, and I was going to tell you they moved from walking to, you know what? A racehorse and a buggy, honey. A racehorse and a buggy. I mean, it was no ordinary buggy. It was a racing buggy. And honest to goodness, racehorse. So here we went. After that first little one came along, we didn't stop with that first wonderful baby. Robin, are you ready? We have 3 more beautiful girls.
Where are they? Where are they?
Can we have those 3 beautiful girls to stand up? Now, my father was not a man of a lot of words, as you all well know, but he says, now listen, Fanny, I love you, honey, and you're beautiful. And I love these girls, and they're gorgeous. But you know what Papa said? We'll fill up the backyard with girls till I get me a bowl. So they got busy, and let's do it. So do you know what they got? They got a real live baby boy.
Yes.
And would that baby's father please stand? raising babies, they did, you can sit down there, Mother, thank you so much. Along with raising babies, they did a lot of other things, as you all will know. Worked real hard. Got a lot of field. Cooked a lot of good meals. Had lots of friends. Eating back and forth. Always went to church. That was always a very vital part of their lives, which contributes to make a family, of course, what it is. We don't believe in passing over the important things. Now, Mama had some friends that are not here, Miss Essie and Mr. Neal. These were friends when these kids were, you kids were all little. But would you believe that in 18 years, those 9 babies, that was a busy household, don't you think? Right, in 18 years. And it was wonderful. My mother said she wouldn't have it any other way, and she said I wouldn't give $1 million for the way everything went down. So, and during the summer of her life, as she's raising this family, during the summer of her life, she's watching also Irene and LB go off to college. Some of the rest go away to get married. She's also watching that some of us still growing up. I mean, the husband and blanket really were a mess. I mean, that was a mess.
Shall I tell my story? Shall I tell my story now?
No, my turn.
Later.
Most of the days and nights, as I said, were spent with family, with friends, and in church. And there are lots of good stories to tell, and Doug is just busting me to tell them, but it's my turn. So then you know what? The grands started coming along. In the summer of her life, those grands started coming along, and Pat and Peggy, who were numbered 1 and 2, were raised in our household right along with Bob. They weren't too far behind Bob, and Kathy represented that first grand, with the first grand stand. That's our If we could say that Mama reached the autumn of her life, I would have to equate it with a time and a place, probably when they left the farm and came into town. So if we could call that the autumn of her life, things changed. Things changed in her life, and she did a couple of things, and then one day she walked into some white halls that she didn't walk out for a long time. We call the Mary Memorial Hospital. While she was getting started there, and she was watching Bob flit around in the pickup truck and in the new car we had, and watching Frank and me get into all the mischief we could think of to get into, she was building this new career. She was taking care of Papa through some very difficult times and watching us grow. And Kitty and Chuck can both say, it was some interesting times, right? Y'all were there. Mama went down the Great White Hall, and things became different in her life. All right. This is her. She was in and out of patients' rooms. Patient's rooms, and she was bringing cheer and happiness, and yes, great calm and peace in and out of all of the rooms. Then there came a time when the babies came back into her life. You all know how Mama is about babies. So into the nursery, Mama came, and she watched how many generations go by there. I mean, she's watched a bunch of babies born in the town of Marion. And yes, would you let her in? She's had a lot. She's had a lot of babies. Oh! She has those babies. All of those young mothers, and those young mothers just praise her. They just praise her up one side of Marion and down the other side. And she carries those beautiful babies back and forth to them. Now, Helen, would you come down this way just a little bit? Galloping Grand. The Galloping Grand. Now, grandmother has galloped around to Tennessee. She's galloped to North Dakota.
Hey, man, she's got it.
You ask the hometown people, and they really believe that she does gallop. She's galloped to Texas. She's been to California. Now, let's not forget about Niagara Falls. Let's not forget about the trips that she's taken to Canada. Now, would you think that a prim, proper, beautiful grandmother would sit on the back seat in the bus and just be nice and quiet? Would she do that? But before she gets on anybody's bus or anybody's car to go with you, Helen, would you just demonstrate briefly Galloping Grandmother? Do you think these clothes match these shoes?
ladies were inside. They had not heard any commotion outside until they heard that buggy harness drop on the front porch. Now, I want Mama to tell us, and I'll tell you, this is totally unheard with Mama. I want her to stand up and tell us, when Mr. Neal looked up, what did he see and what happened?
He saw me, pulled the door open, hold it up there. What are you fixing to do? I said, shoot you. You should announce yourself. Oh, straight him down. These ain't no jokes. I ain't kidding y'all. We are not kids fail.
There was, this next one, I was present. We lived out in the country in the vine thicket. Many of you have been there or seen it. We heard a commotion in the chicken house one night. We used to raise a lot of chickens. So we went out with whatever lights we had, probably the lantern, I don't know. I don't know how we could see so far with the lantern. I guess we had night vision in those days because we weren't accustomed to a whole lot of light. We got out there and decided that there was a snake in the chicken house. You know, there's chicken snakes and they go in the chicken house and they'll kill chickens. For you young people who don't know that. Papa was not there. And Mama said, boys, go get the gun. So Doug or I alone went running to the house. We were little tykes. Not big enough to shoot a gun, but we knew where the gun was, we knew where the shells were. So we went to the house and got the gun and came back, and Mama looked around, and here were all our kids and the older girls were big, but they had never shot a gun. And she looked around and she said, give me that gun. And she was ready to go in there with that snake. About that time, Papa walked out and took care of the matter. She was not afraid for that gun to walk into the chicken house. A few years ago, I talked to Mama on the telephone, which I frequently do and thoroughly enjoy. And there's been some unpleasant situation in the neighborhood. And she was saying, she said, I really think that I need a larger pistol. Now, for you who may not know it, Mama has had a pistol at her disposal for a whole lot of years. And it's very, very handy to her at night if she happens to need it. She said that night, I really think I need a larger pistol. And I said, Mama, just what do you have in mind? And she said, I don't know. She said, I think I need a 38 Smith & Wesson revolver. Now you think she doesn't know her gun? Which reminds me of the chorus of a song. The verses are very inappropriate. But the chorus, I think, is very appropriate for this particular situation. Anybody know the name of it?
Yes.
Chuck, would you like to lead us in that? All together?
I just know the name of it. It's Pistol Packing Mom. Hey, that pistol.
On the chorus, how does it go? Lay that pistol down. Lay that pistol down. Pistol packing mama. Lay that pistol down. Now, some of you young folks never heard that, have you? Huh?
You know the pictures?
Check my brother here. Yeah, I would caution you people you better speak up, because Atlanta had 85.
Right.
So. Oh, yeah, we already got Tennessee, 90. Who wants 95? Greenville. Greenville, 95. All right, where's the broker for 100?
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach.
All right, Myrtle Beach at 100. Yeah. We're planning that. All right.
All right.
You have a son that's gonna follow you before the.
All right, everybody whose schedule permits, and you would like to join Mama for church tomorrow, we need to be at her church at no later than 10:45, so that we can all sit together, and if necessary, I'm sure our deacon down here can arrange some reserve seats, so that we can have several pews together. We'd certainly do more than pack a pew, but we pack several pews. Okay, Mama, is there anything you want to say before we depart for the evening? Anything else?
Oh, I have enough words to say it. My vocabulary won't say it, but I think this is honor that I don't know how to express. And I don't know anybody that's got a more loving family than I have. Our Twitter family. And a family that's loved me than they love me. It's good. I am proud of them.
I want to say that I know why she's got such a sweet family. A lot of us looked out for you.
There's a lot of people with cameras here tonight. If you want group pictures, if you want family pictures with Mama, just maneuver around here and get your group together, and let's give priority to Buck and Melanie. If they want any pictures or get any, we'll help you get ahead of the line. Okay? And we definitely want Mama and all of the children together. All right, all of the children come up to the behind.
You're coming.
Well, it's great. You have two people who are afraid of the same thing.
Right, but unfortunately, this is typically not the case. Typically, it's the man who has the lion's share of the problem, and even if the woman has the problem, she is more likely to give in and deal with her commitment problem within the structure of a relationship. This guy is the guy who panics, who runs, who disappears.
How old are you?
32.
And you're are you single? Single?
Well, one thing I'm wondering, a lot of things I've been running into is I'm a career woman. And that seems to play a big part in relationships when it comes to career choices.
Yeah, hey, let me ask you just a couple of quickies.
Okay.
Are you single?
Yes.
Have you ever been married?
No.
You have to think about that.
I know, I have. Yeah.
You had a lot of almosts?
A couple, yeah.
Did you ever get engaged?
Yes.
How many times?
Twice.
And you don't like this, you want to change
I did
this.
live with a man for 5 years, but that one reason we were both in school and it was easier to stay single, which is a nice rationalization, I guess.
Do you want to get married?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Men are intimidated by your career?
At times, yes.
Well, you wouldn't want to live with a guy like that.
No, I can't seem to run in, and even the career men that I have run into can't seem to deal with it.
Well, you just have to find a guy who never speaks and has an arrested emotional development. And
Right.
You know, claiming to not be able to deal with her career is a wonderful exit for a relationship.
he's saying you're making this up, or this is an excuse you're using.
No, I'm not. I'm saying it's an excuse that they may be using to get out. In other words, it's the old, you're too aggressive, I can't handle your career. I mean, a commitment phobic will find 1,000 excuses to get out.
Pardon me?
That sounds real familiar right there.
You see? I
I'm
mean, he
too
will use
domineering and I'm too independent.
anything he can use to get out, he will use to get out. If he
How
has to
does she
pick
go
you
about
apart-
not attracting that kind of guy?
Okay.
Or going for
The
that?
first thing you have to do is you have to be able to recognize this guy. That is number one. If you can recognize a commitment phobic, especially in the beginning of the relationship, all right? And these guys who can't love, they give off very, very clear signals. For example, and we have some examples here just to illustrate this.
Let me,
okay?
Go ahead.
Let me just say that because, for one, their problem with commitments, it's not just commitments to relationships, it's commitments to everything. They are commitment phobic with the world, with their jobs, with their homes, with their pets that they'd never have, with things like that. all right?
Let me get Gregory Amos in here. Greg Amos is a freelance writer and wrote a very personal and compelling piece for Essence magazine. Here's the picture. He's engaged to be married, but he is here to say he is scared to death. Why? Is that overstating it, or am I pretty close to
Well, I was scared to death, and I never thought I wanted to get married. Actually, I never wanted to get married. And I finally decided to get married. Now I'm engaged, and I think that what I'd like to try and do is turn the fear around and make that work for me.
Yeah. You were very honest and it seemed to me insightful about your own feelings. Not all guys are that capable of saying these things out loud. You were raised in a divorced home. You tell us in this article that you were surrounded by families in which the fathers never even saw and sometimes didn't even know their kids. I assume that your household was fatherless when you were growing up? I don't know.
Well, I visited my father during the summers. When I was in high school, I met a couple of friends, and they grew up with both their parents, and that was totally alien to me. Everybody I knew grew up with just their mother, so that was the norm.
And now, because of this environment, you are honest to say you're not so sure you're going to be such a hot father. Is that?
Well, no. For a while, I didn't want to make those same mistakes. And so I said, well, I don't want to get divorced, so I won't get divorced, I won't get married. If I don't get married, I won't get divorced.
You did this, I assume, with more than one woman as you made your way through adolescence in the 20s?
Well, a lot of it, I'm still kind of a young guy, a lot of it was things I worked out in my head. And I still am severely independent. I just wouldn't get involved.
She must be perfect. I mean, you have a lot of tests, I mean, for yourself and for the relationship. You seem to be more conscientious than a lot of guys in the single market.
Well, I've changed a lot.
Does she know how these agonies that you've had in your own head about commitment?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I pushed her away for a very long time. And she would call me up saying, I need a commitment. I need to know. And I'm like, hey, I can't tell you. You know?
Where have I heard of that before?
Now, there's a danger here. The danger of him turning his woman into his therapist, all right? Understand his problem. He may or may not ultimately be able to make a commitment, but do not become his therapist. Women have to take care of themselves. Do not worry about us. We know the problem. We know what's going on.
Hi, are you there?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I'm a female that has the same problem as the males on your program.
You're afraid to commit.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy getting them to that point and then walking away. I mean, I've made up the most bizarre stories you could ever imagine.
You mean they ask you to marry you and you get crazy?
Yeah, well, one guy was in the service, and I told him that I was dying. And then I just changed my phone number.
Yeah, well, that would... How many men have asked you to marry you?
Well, I'm 25, and it's happened probably 7 or 8 times since I was...
You've had 8 guys ask you to marry you?
Yeah.
Ask you to marry them?
Right.
Sure. You must be... I mean, we can only speculate on the human wreckage in your wake here.
Yeah, sometimes I feel bad, and then sometimes I think they deserve it.
Whoa. How old are you?
25.
again, what could be more attractive to a commitment-phobic man, to a man who really can't love, than a woman who he knows is never going to be able to make that commitment?
Hang on a minute. We got all kinds of free advice
so
for you.
easy to propose.
Mark Snyder is editor and founder of Singles Lifeline, which is a Boston magazine and radio talk show. A man who's made some noise in the Boston metropolitan area with his... you admit that you're the guy that presides over, quite literally, a business that allows singles to meet each other. And you admit that you have problems fully committing yourself to a relationship. Come on, Mark.
Well, I have a problem with the word commitment anyway. I think commitment's a very permanent type of word. And as I've seen, I thought I defined my favorite way of saying.
And Beethoven was so musical,
I'm not finished with all my excitement here, Ed.
Yeah.
But I also think that it's also unrealistic, because I think relationships have shown, at least from my point of view, behind my desk, that they don't last very long. And it's not a permanent type thing. So why make a permanent commitment for something that isn't going to be permanent?
You don't want to have kids and a little red wagon in the driveway.
What we're here to talk about is why they don't last that long. What is this fear that
but
that
first
pushes
let's
us?
find out this profile.
I also don't think it's just a male problem either. I think a lot of women have a fear of commitment.
This woman on the phone
The women I
is
go
one.
out with, most of them don't have commitments in their
Ask Mark what he does.
What he does
Ask him
where?
how many jobs he has, how many he's had, how many...
ask him.
I have a company.
I already have.
I also have a dog, too, so
He has a
I'm
dog.
safe.
Let me understand you. Let me understand you. You are a commitment phobic, but you don't care.
I don't believe that I'm a commitment phobic. I think that the whole that line, I don't like it anyway. I don't believe I'm afraid of commitment. I commit myself to my job, and whoever I go out with at the time, I give full commitment to at the time.
At the time. And his job at the time. 4 years ago, he had a different job. A few years before that, he probably had a different job.
Commitment phobics bounce around.
How many people
we
are
can all
married
make
forever?
short-term commitments. It's the law. It's forever.
A lot?
That's what's wiping us
Less
out.
than 1/3 of
forever.
Americans are.
True commitments take maturity. True commitments take a level of maturity, and you can develop that, and you can go for that. You can say, I'm going to be committed in a long-term relationship.
You can say that.
Well,
you
I
can
say that, and it took me a while to work through it.
How old are you,
That's what I'm
Greg?
saying now, 25.
Number 2's a risk. I mean, a bad risk. And for any woman.
You're dismissed, number 2, and thank you very much.
I wanted to ask
I knew I'd
number
make enemies,
1
so
if
that's
he...
all.
all-
Bachelor number 1, we have a question.
I forget their names. Anyway, if you went back to all your girlfriends, is there any one of your girlfriends that are still single that you would date now and maybe eventually marry?
As a matter of fact, only one is still single, and that's the one who I was probably the worst to. And we really barely have a talking relationship because of that.
Yeah. I'm not sure you've had a chance to make your case.
I don't think people really listen. I think that people aren't really thinking about this that
Well,
carefully.
tell us then. Take us to school, Mark. We're here to learn.
Okay. I do believe in commitment, okay? And I have given them to people before, but they were not returned. It takes 2 people to make a commitment. And unfortunately, most of the time, it doesn't happen that way. One person usually loves the other one more, what I've seen. And I've seen hundreds and thousands of people coming through my doors and my dances on my magazine and through my own relationship.
But you must see this thing about which we speak today. Men who can't love.
Oh, I know people who are like that. I am not one of them.
I think
love
Greg's
very
comment
much.
is very interesting. Here's a guy who's terrified of divorce. And so you fix that by never getting married.
Everybody's terrified to a certain extent of getting married. You know, how many people don't have,
True.
you know, the
True,
jitters
but
before?
in this case, it becomes controlling. And is the caller still there? Oh, darn. You know, she's had 8 guys ask her to marry her. I was going to...
Just had a nice offer.
Yeah.
I would just like to say that I think there's a time that comes for everybody, and when 2 people that meet and the time has come for both of them...
That's old-fashioned
That's
stuff.
wonderful.
How do you know when the time is? How do you know?
Because the vibes are right.
The vibes, you know, a little white wine and candles. And, yeah, and you wake up the next morning and the guy's a jerk.
That's right.
I'd like to know at one time, have you made a commitment where you did get hurt that right now you're afraid to make that commitment again?
I just ended one 3 weeks ago, and I got hurt on that one.
You're playing the woman's role. You're trying to make the audience feel sorry for us again. Don't do that. The women are the injured party, okay? The women are the injured party because we are the ones with the pursuit panic syndrome. We seduce, we reject, and we do it over and over and over again. The woman believes in us, she trusts us, and then she gets hurt, all right? Everybody has a reason for fearing commitment on some level. That's fine. I'm saying protect yourselves. It doesn't matter what my reason is.
Are you there, caller?
Yes, I am. My question is I was wondering what these men feel about how long you should be in a relationship with a person before you should expect a commitment from them.
How long have you been dating your guy?
I've been with him 9 months, and I'm at a point where I'm really afraid to ask him just what's going on with us. He has told me from time to time how he feels, but, you know, the subject of marriage just doesn't come up.
You never discussed marriage with him?
Well, we had talked about it one time, and he asked me what I expected out of the relationship. And I kind of thought that might be his way of letting me know that he's really not interested in a commitment. The man's been married twice before, but, you know, here I am. I'm very marriage material.
How old are you?
I'm 33.
And you're divorced?
Yes, I was divorced after 12 years of marriage.
You have any children?
Yes, I do. I have 3 children.
How many kids does he have?
He has one, a 20-year-old, which makes it a little bit difficult.
How old is he?
He's 42.
You love the guy?
Yes, I do. I think I could live the rest of my life with him. I don't think I've adjusted to single life.
You know what you call a divorced guy, don't you? I ought to know.
What's that?
A retread. I mean, I didn't call it that. Aren't you a little nervous about the history of this guy?
I kind of am, but I basically know his character. He's a wonderful person, and we're very compatible.
Yeah, but if he is 9 months, only asks you a question, I got all kinds of free advice. Talk to this woman.
Yeah, you're getting close to a problem here if you're not in one already. If you saw the stages of the relationship up earlier, and you should sense from, you know, where your relationship falls. If you are already into the middle, you may be on your way to the end. The only thing you really can do at this point is to start to back up. A relationship with a man like this in the middle is like a dying plant. You have to cut back and take the relationship back to an earlier stage and start over.
Let me ask her, did he come on strong?
Well, no, he's kind of a shy, subdued person, but I feel like he's really comfortable now with the arrangement. You know, it's like
But he convinced you to trust him. Yes, he did convince you to trust him.
Why shouldn't he be comfortable? He doesn't have to get married. He doesn't have to commit himself.
In other words, in order to true love from a man, he has to get uncomfortable. Is that your point?
No. But he's comfortable in a relationship where he has no commitments.
Well, you can understand his fear of this, too, having had a divorce himself, 2 divorces.
Gaining 3 children. I mean, there's more to this commitment than just...
She is.
Well, he would.
Yeah, that's true. Does he always call you when he, you know, I mean, does he...
Oh, yes, he's very reliable. You know, it's like he's here every day. He has his own home, and I have my own home, and it's like he can come here and sleep with me, but yet still have his own home for his own space. I give him absolutely no pressure on this.
So he has boundaries.
He doesn't have to make a commitment now because he's had everything he wants. He has all the icings on the cake.
And he doesn't have to sign up for nothing.
He doesn't, and she has 3 children, and that means he'll be committed to 3 children, 3 more children, and he has an older child.
Well, yeah, and obviously he's put up boundaries because she can't talk to him about it, so there's a psychological boundary that he's put up. He's got his own home, so there's a physical boundary that he's put up. She's in the middle. We don't want her to get to the end.
If you're in a relationship where you want something and he's not giving it to you, and you don't feel comfortable enough in this relationship to discuss your needs with him, then there's something wrong with the relationship.
Absolutely.
And that will be $50.
Story of my life.
Huh?
That's the story of my life.
Well, why don't you fix this?
Well, the thing is I feel like, you know, we are compatible, we're getting along, I'm happy, except I do want more.
What's the matter?
It's too comfortable for her.
It's too comfortable?
Yeah, it's harder to opt out of a situation, you know.
What would your advice to her be?
Leave town.
Should she drop the guy?
Yes.
There's no communication, there's no
People's
relationship.
timings are different.
Well, it isn't saying...
She must distance herself from this man.
She's not saying that there's...
Exactly. You move at different paces, and you have to
Keep
find
the
someone you're ready
relationship-
for.
Sorry, back here.
She should keep the relationship the way it is. She's got a great guy.
She wants...
Why does she want?
Because if you don't sign the guy up pretty soon,
What's going to happen?
he's going to drop out of her life at his leisure.
So?
That's the way you get clobbered.
So, clobbered by what?
She loves this guy. What do you have? What are you, Madam Ice here? I mean, this woman is... Well, this woman wants to be loved and...
She's loved today. She's loved tomorrow. If it doesn't happen the next day, it's okay.
My husband and I are presently going to counseling, and an interesting thing has come of that. It's a second marriage for both of us. Well, the way the doctor put it to us is that a lot of people get into relationships and situations knowing full well in the beginning what they're getting into and wanting, in fact, that, and that's the same thing that in the end drives them apart. It's their fear, and they look at themselves as each half of the whole, finding the other half in the other person. And once they get into it, they see the things that they dislike within themselves. And if each person would work to develop and cultivate their own self as a whole individual,
Right.
then come together. And maybe if she could
Right.
get into it with this
Right.
guy. And
Well, was counseling your idea or your husband?
it was joint.
You had no trouble? You didn't have to drag him by the hair to the...
Gone on and off for throughout our marriage of 10 years. And now he's really coming around and you know, wanting as much as I do.
All right, let me just understand this. Now, the biggest thing then, I know you've learned a lot of things, and this is complicated, but what you learned about yourself and your marriage as a result of marriage counseling was?
That I must strive to develop myself as a whole individual and to feel good about myself, and that will make me...
And we'll be back in just a moment.
Not long ago, a group of ladies in New York State wrote us, singing the praises of Murphy's Oil Soap. They extolled the virtues of this pure, natural cleaner that's safe to use on almost any wooden surface. And they were thrilled by its results. Now, considering the magnitude and importance of their task, heaven knows. If Murphy's Oil Soap is good enough to clean this house, it's surely good enough to clean yours.
Dinner? Well, we can have a chef's salad with a creamy Italian
You can make most
dressing.
anything on your mind with Good
Coconut
Seasons.
mayo and sour cream to Good Seasons Italian.
Good Seasons salad dressing makes the ideas keep pouring out.
Hello, this is the strawberry jello fruit bar. It's cool, it's delicious, and it's all natural, just like my friend here with the little green hat. Jello fruit bars, real fruit, only cooler.
Comrade, what is special of week?
Is toilet paper.
Is good price?
Is cheap.
Cheap toilet paper?
Some grocery shoppers are brainwashed into thinking that weekly specials actually save them money.
Cheap toilet paper.
But we know what really saves you money are extra low prices on all the groceries you buy.
Cheap toilet paper. Cheap toilet paper.
Cheap toilet.
Word of mouth advertising works every time.
It's Harry Carson Days. Grab your camera and join Harry Carson and friends Saturday the 9th at the Florence Memorial Stadium, 12 to 2. Harry will be signing autographs and taking pictures with everybody. It's free to all. Saturday night, 7 to 10, the curtain goes up on This Is Your Life, Harry Carson. Reception, dinner, and program at the PD Shrine Club. Advance tickets on sale now at these locations. Harry Carson Day, sponsored by Trans-South, Coastal Coca-Cola, and Holiday Inn.
We're talking about commitment phobia. I don't make this language, but men who can't love, and yes, it does work in reverse. Women who, everything's wonderful until the guy says, why don't we get married? And then panic sets in, and or in the reverse, how many women are hurt by the rejection of males, and it seems to become a sequential feature of their life. Are you there? Hi.
I'm a 39-year-old female who has, until 2 years ago, I've had a lifetime of experiences with men who won't make a commitment. And 2 years ago, I realized it was all my fault because I had low self-esteem. And in the past 2 years, I've been working on feeling better about myself, and I am no longer sticking with that type of a man.
You drop them.
That's right.
How do you see them? How do you sense that you've got one like that on the line?
After 20 years, you can see the signs.
Well, help us out. Help us learn as much as you have.
You have to reevaluate who you are. A woman has to take a good look at herself.
I understand that, but I'm looking for some evidence. What's the first behavioral indication to you that this is one of those type of males? A guy who won't commit.
What the men are describing, somebody who comes on like gangbusters, watch out.
That's right. Totally unrealistic. Exactly. Right? Lives in a fantasy because he can't think about tomorrow.
That's the prince on the white horse who you're never going to meet. And you have to realize that. You have to be realistic.
But, in other words, if Mr. Right comes along, it probably isn't?
Probably. It's not going to last.
What is this? You're breaking a lot of bubbles here. Yeah.
Well, if he starts saying, I don't want to talk about it, I think that's so common of so many men. I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about it now. Tomorrow, I'm busy. I have to do that. You know, that's so common, and you really have to go beyond it. You shouldn't back off. You should say, you know, push and prod and do whatever you have to.
Well, you don't have to push and prod. Just recognize the signal, all right? And therefore, start protecting yourself from this guy. And don't forget past history. You mentioned it before. Yeah. That is the biggest clue. If he can't talk about his past history, or if he admits to this horrible past, believe it.
Yeah. Is there a man in your life? Is there a man in your life now?
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything's okay?
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm being more demanding than I've ever been in my life.
And how's he coping?
He shies away at times, but we have a pretty good relationship, and we're very good communicators.
I assume you're divorced.
Actually, I was a young widow.
And is he divorced?
Yes.
Uh-huh. You have children?
Yes, I have an 18-year-old daughter.
How's she like him?
She's crazy about him.
That helps, doesn't it?
He doesn't stay away. I mean, he's like part of the family.
And he didn't come on like gangbusters?
No. There were no flowers. There were no romantic dinners. There were no wild promises.
Well, I never thought I would hear somebody think of that as a good thing.
That's just it. He is boring.
And a woman who
That's
says
what
this is boring, be careful. I can see that you're a woman who's setting yourself up for trouble.
Hang
Who said married men can't be commitment phobic? Who said married men don't have a problem with commitment? Why do they put the newspaper up in front of their face or work all night, all hours of the evening?
Yeah.
I don't feel it's the commitment that they're afraid of. I think it's the power, the control of the situation in which they're not afraid to love while they're in this affair or courting this young lady.
But when you get married.
It's not the commitment, it's that they lose control.
When the marriage happens, you mean?
No, that it's not the marriage or the commitment to the marriage that would make them a phobia or afraid. It's the control, the power in which they would lose and now manipulating the situation in which they're involved with.
Yeah, that's exactly Mark's problem.
Yeah, really. And what about their job? And what about their apartment? Are they losing control of their apartment? Why can't they even put their name on their mailbox sometimes? Because it's too much of a commitment for them.
Yeah. You're listening, Mark, you know, any wisdom at all? No, you'll need a security guard to get out of here. We have identified you, Mark, and incidentally, our audiences are never wrong. Mark Snyder of Boston's radio talk show Singles Lifeline and magazine is are you involved now? Did we establish with you?
I was involved for 5 years, and 3 weeks ago, I found I was living with a young lady, and I found the house empty. And
you came home to empty closets?
Yeah.
No.
I wrote an article called "When the Closet's Empty" in my syndicated column recently. Yeah. So, talk about commitment, right?
No note?
Yeah, there was a note there, a key.
Was it a nice note?
No. I think it might have been written by the audience. I'm not really sure.
Well, how are you doing now, Mr. Lonely Guy?
I'm not a lonely guy. That's
what?
What did he do to deserve that?
Oh, he's nothing. This is the guy you want your daughter to bring home.
I'm an innocent guy.
What?
She left for no reason at all, right, Mark?
No, there's always reasons.
I'm just saying
there's
that.
a two-way street. All these things
She's trying to make the point. She's wondering whether or not you're sliding out from some of your responsibility.
Not at all.
Exactly. There's a two-way street there. Something happened.
And as
Mark,
a commitment
after 5 years, there must have been a reason.
Exactly. And as these guys exit, they have a wonderful way of making it seem that you were the reason, you were the problem. And that's what's knows they can't even blame it on their own. Yes. They can't take responsibility for the problem.
Yes. I have a question for the woman here. When I have to get my thoughts together
That's
now.
All right. Yeah, it's my problem too. You want me to give you a moment? Let me take a call.
No, I have it. When I had gone out with someone and I just got these really bad vibes. And I just, do a lot of women get those vibes and just kind of put them under the table and go with the flow with that man, or do they?
Well, we're looking for our perfect mate. We're always looking and thinking that he's got the potential to be something. And so if there's some lacking thing there, we're going to fix it. We're going to help him to be better, to give us what we want out of it, which is the love.
But I think her point is interesting. She's saying that we really see these signs and we suppress them.
Absolutely.
We push it. Yeah.
But he helps. He's so convincing. He manages to really get you to give him your trust, even though he really doesn't deserve it.
And then blammo.
He's a salesman. And then boom. The minute you give it, the minute you're willing to commit,
Gone. Yeah, what?
Hi, look, I'd like to know your feelings on this. My girlfriend lived with someone for 5 years, and when she was in her 30s now, she wants a baby. And that was the end. He said, no way. Was that the same thing with your girl?
Not at all. See,
I'll give you a chance, Mark, I promise. You'll forgive me. We'll be back in a moment.
Is she the same way, or is she more patient with you?
She used to call me and say, I need to know, can you commit? And at the time, I said, no, I can't, whoa, whoa. And I was pulling back. And then at one point, I said, okay, I called her up. I said, okay, I give up, I give up, I give up. And I made the commitment to her.
Well, what, now you don't like that either?
Yeah, but ultimatums we don't want.
Hold on just one second.
I'd just like to know, by June of 1988, aren't you afraid that you may think that you would not like to be in a commitment?
Well, but if that's true, in other words, you want him to hurry up and get married before he realizes what a crazy idea it is?
But he can always put it off to 89, so don't worry about him. He can go through that.
Are you there, caller?
Yes, I'm a 22-year-old male, and I seem to be a classic case of a commitment phobic. I wine them, dine them, and maybe 3 weeks to a month down the road, it's over. And I'm just wondering, what can I do about it? Because I'd love to be in a relationship, but it's really hard for me.
Well, but if you're 22...
A little young to worry about that.
22
he
is
may be young, but he recognizes the problem in himself, which is good, because maybe that's the first step. That is the first step, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's only an hour show, but why do you think you get this way?
I have a job, I go to school, I'm very committed to other things, and I don't...
Well, why aren't you happy with that?
Excuse me?
Why aren't you happy with that?
I'm happy with that, but also I think that I have a need for this also, a need for a relationship.
An ongoing one?
Yes, I mean, I've had one, and it was shaky with me. It went on for about a year or so.
Do they ask you to marry them?
Yes. And what did I say? No.
I think you should take your time. I think that there are things we need to go through.
Plenty of time.
And that it'll come.
Let's see what. Can we...
Yes.
3 weeks after a relationship, I was asked to get married to this gentleman. And I just could not believe that someone would ask me to marry them 3 weeks and not really knowing me. Do you think that's...
What'd you say?
I told him to slow it down.
Good, because that's rule number one. Rule number one.
Slow down?
Slow him down. And slow yourself down, too.
I wanted to be in control of the relationship to a point that I didn't want to get married so soon. You know, like, what's the rush? Let's enjoy each other. Let's have a good time. Let's take it slow.
Hey, he doesn't even know you yet.
Exactly.
Right?
That's how
in your life?
Yeah.
Nice guy.
Yeah. Oh, he's a really good guy. He has a great job.
Good.
And he's fun.
You just can't wait for everybody.
I'd like everybody to get married.
Yeah, right.
But I personally think that if a fella can get a note from a doctor that he's a commitment phobia, that he should be allowed one commitment on a house.
Yeah.
Well, now, what does that mean? In other words, it doesn't have to last?
You remember the old days when you had 2 beers and the bartender gave you the next one on the house? You know what I mean.
Okay. All right. Phil, can we get back to her and to what women can do?
Yes, you can, and I'll give you an opportunity to do so in a moment. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, may I help you?
Sure, I'll have a cheeseburger, Mac.
Cheeseburger macaroni? That's our specialty.
Don't know what to do with hamburger? Try Hamburger Helper Cheeseburger Macaroni. It'll turn plain hamburger into a hearty, delicious meal that'll please your coolest customer.
Hamburger Helper helped her.
Hey, that was great, man. Give me 5.
Would you settle for 4?
Make a great meal.
You'll find beauty that enhances your life at Holbrook's, like this 7-diamond cluster, 1/4 carat, specially priced at $159, plus other diamonds as low as $35 at Holbrook's.
Go Coasting, the only weekly news magazine for Grand Strand vacationers.
This week in Coast Magazine, we'll feature man's relationship with the water and wind on the Strand through sports like sailing, surfing, and windsurfing. Also in Coast, Camden's annual Palmetto Hot Air Balloon Classic promises a fun-filled weekend. Read about it all this week in Coast Magazine.
For your ad, call 449-7121. Get the story only in Coast Magazine.
Hi, this is Slick Rick, the world's heavyweight wrestling champion. Woo! Telling everybody in Sumter, South Carolina, I'm going to be there on May 16th. See Ric Flair from 2 till 4 p.m. during Mid-Carolina's Spring Extravaganza Sale and get superstar savings on new single and double wides. Right, Rick? That's right. Come to Mid-Carolina Homes in Sumter, May 16th. Slick Rick, woo, styling and profiling. And along with Mid-Carolina Homes, we're going to squash all the competition. Woo!
If you're a parent, you're concerned about the quality of your child's education. We're concerned too. That's our business. We are the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. We've stood for quality for nearly a century. Ask about us at your school or college. And for more information about regional accreditation, write the Southern Association in Atlanta or call 1-800-248-7701. Remember, regional accreditation means quality.
It's the all-new dating game. Check it out.
Well, I'm gonna say hello with a little rhyme. I'm gonna do it quickly because I'm short on time. Kinda nice. I'm 6 feet tall, and if we have a date, I promise you a ball. So when it comes time for you to choose, with passion number 3, you just can't lose.
The all-new dating game, weekdays at 4:30.
The audience is applauding, and we haven't done anything. It looks like you might be applauding men who can't love, and that's not what you mean to do. Here's the book by Stephen Carter. You ever meet a guy like this? You know, honey, when are we going to get married? Well, let's not talk about it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Do you love me? Anybody love anybody? Do you love me? Do you love me? Well, if you love me, do you love me? I mean, how do you know whether somebody loves anybody? Hang on just one second. Hang on a minute.
Can we help these women?
Sure, sure. Are you there? Hi.
Hi. I married a commitment phobic.
Now you find out.
Years is terrible.
How many years?
8.5 years.
How do you know he's a commitment phobic?
He's been taking off for the last 8.5 years.
Taking what?
Taking off, going.
Taking
telling
off.
He wants a divorce and then just leaving for 3-4 weeks.
And then he comes back.
Yeah, very apologetic, wanting to try again.
Distance, comfortable. So he gets himself away, he feels better, he comes back. He gets too close, he goes away again.
He gets away and he feels scared and he comes back.
No, doesn't. Well, may feel scared of losing her
That's
completely,
what I mean, after he's...
but he also, the primary feeling is one of relief, having been too close and feeling this entrapment that he can get himself away.
Well, this woman's in for a life of misery if she doesn't fix this thing.
You're absolutely right. That's right. And I think therapy is really called
Bob
for.
Pagliaro is here. You are an ABC radio producer, and you were honest to tell us that you are not ready for commitment. You're 25 years old. You will not get married until age 30. Come on. How do you know, Bob?
It's planned. It's planned.
Serious?
Well, really. Well, I've heard a couple different things here today. We heard a lady back there that talked about pushing and prodding.
Yeah.
Steve is saying it's the woman's fault. And I hear Greg talking about maturity. I'm just wondering if maybe men aren't as mature as women, and women may want to make a commitment
before
sooner.
they are emotionally ready to, the males are.
Exactly, and I wonder if maybe we're just getting bad rap out of this.
Yeah, what about the 45-year-old or the 55-year-old or the 65-year-old who's doing the same thing?
What do you mean,
you got to grow up sometime.
Hang on a minute, I got a live mail here. You'll stand, sir.
Yeah, one point I wanted to ask for Steve and the panelists. A lot of the difficulty in an urban area is that there's so many choices available to men. What do you think the impact of AIDS will be?
There's more women in like a New York City metropolitan?
Right, if something doesn't work out, then it hurts, but you can look on for something else. What do you think the impact of AIDS will be on maybe changing men's attitudes?
Well, it may make people more interested in commitment, but not for the right reasons. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah.
I like to ask Steve. It seems that men look for relationships and women look for commitments early. I was wondering if you're in your initial relationships, maybe they always asked you for a commitment and then you always backed out and you thought this became the norm as you started going
I would say that as many men will verify, you often do it in your own head before they ever ask you about commitment. You're thinking, you're going through the steps in your head way before they even talk about it.
Yeah, I'd like to ask all the gentlemen up there, what are their relationships with their mothers?
You like that question? Now, is this going to be mother's fault, too?
No, don't blame the mothers because then we have to account for the jobs and the pets and the apartments that they can't buy and they can only rent.
Do you find the question important one, Mark?
I'm very close to my mother, so I don't know what that means.
How about you, Greg?
I'm very close to my mother, and she's turned me into a lot of what I am.
And Phil, of the several hundred men
proudly so. You want to...
Proudly so, yes.
I've been hearing the word fear
terrified, afraid. All of us men, all of we men are committed or non-committed phobia, okay? We've all been afraid at one time in our life, okay? Now, my question is, what fear is so great that none of you can start functioning on a fairly good level?
Because the fear is overwhelming?
The fear is overwhelming. It's almost a claustrophobic fear of entrapment that is truly overwhelming.
I'd like to know if they have these same problems with other friendships, not just romantic friendships.
Yeah, sure can. Absolutely can. You know, I interviewed several hundred men who can't love for this book, and they all have these different symptoms in all different parts of their lives. And as far as their relationships with their mothers, half of them had great relationships, half of them didn't. It really was not a crucial factor.
Yes, I've been listening. Everything's been men or he. Do women do anything wrong in your book at all?
That's what I want to know.
If you want me to tear apart women, you got the wrong guy. I'm sorry. That's not why I'm here.
I don't think it's a matter of tearing anybody apart.
Rosanna.
I think it's a matter of accepting equal responsibility, not a matter of tearing anyone down.
Are you there? Hi.
Yes, I am. I'm 23 years old. I have an 8-month-old daughter. I've been with this man for 2 years. He wants me to marry him. I watched my mother and my father go through a divorce after being married for 20 years, and I can really relate to somebody being scared of a commitment.
You are?
I am 23 years old.
Yeah, but is he the father of your child?
Yes, he is.
And you're afraid to marry him?
Yes, I am. I mean, my dad is the father of both me and my brother, and he was married to my dad for 20 years. I mean, my mom for 20 years, and out of nowhere, it's just gone, and I'm really scared of that.
You're very honest to share that with us. Let's give these folks an opportunity to chat about it in a moment.
Palmetto Homes, home of the unbeatable, unbelievable deal, wants to say Happy Mother.
Thing is at Box 164, Moreno Valley, California, 92388. This is the organization that was founded by Rosanna Saputo. Are you there, caller?
I'm here.
What do you think?
What I want to know is I'm in the middle of a relationship that's in the middle stages right now.
The middle stages?
Yes.
Let me just show them again. Hang on a minute.
Okay.
Brian, let's hear at the beginning of these are commitment phobic men. Comes on strong with a fearless pursuit, does everything possible to impress you, has a rocky history with women. Watch out. Here's about which the caller speaks. Mixed messages is the middle part of this relationship. Intimate at home. After a while, this is what happens. He creates boundaries, and suddenly he finds problems with seeing you. And this caller, I assume, wants to avoid the end phase.
That's right.
He will spend less time with you if this holds true with your relationship. Becomes moody when he's with you, withdraws sexually.
And if you continue the classic pattern, it will move to the end because that is his pattern.
All right. Well, we talked a lot about. Well, what is he doing now?
What he's doing right now is everything. We spent the weekend together. Everything was wonderful. We were very close, very personal. It was very nice, comfortable weekend. And now all of a sudden, he's too busy to call. He can't return my calls.
That's
the
fine.
conflict.
You should accept him for what he is and where he's at.
Well, but that's called. Then she has to accept being hurt.
We're seeing his
That's all
conflict.
right. That's the situation. That's the amount of availability he will give, and that's what she should accept.
So if she were you, and you've been through all this before, and you want to change this, she starts thinking about herself and not letting herself be clobbered by this.
That's right. Continue with your life.
Absolutely. She has got to become the #1 priority. You can say that.
But she loves the guy.
No, but she can love him all she wants. She has to be the #1 priority in her life. The women who get clobbered are the ones who are convinced by this guy to make him the priority, and then boom. All right.
But why did she have so much fun with this guy then? She set herself up, and
or he set her up.
What's wrong with fun? She.
It's a
Are we back to this again? She wants to see him again.
I don't think she should see him again. She had fun. Better she feels about herself.
Basically, you have to have self-confidence, I think.
What?
The woman and the men both have to have self-confidence in themselves.
Women should join support groups in which they can support each other and accept their circumstances. No criticism, no advice giving.
And don't take the blame for this because it's what's going on inside his mind now that is creating the problem.
Back in a moment.
The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade, or your money back. The first screen shaves incredibly close, the second even closer. The Remington microscreen shaves as close as a blade, or your money back. And the Lady Remington rechargeable, the perfect gift.
The delicious taste of Stouffer's French bread pizza, explained by a star reporter.
There's a hot, tantalizing, rich, sassy star on everyone's lips. It's Stouffer's French bread pizza. Pass it on.
Help yourself to Stouffer's Pizza.
Hello, here at Strand Nissan in Myrtle Beach, our grand opening sale is in full swing. We still have those grand opening great discounts and top dollar for used cars. So if you're in the market for a new car or truck, you're going to get your best buy at Strand Nissan in Myrtle Beach. Now, you know we've had a price increase on all of our Nissan cars and trucks that are coming to us, but we still have a limited number of cars, a great inventory, at the old price. So if you're in the market for a car and you want to save money, come see your South Carolina Nissan dealer today.
The name is Nissan. Strawberry fields forever.
The fields at R.O. Adams Strawberries are ripe and ready for picking. Located on Highway 90, midway between Conway and North Myrtle Beach, R.O. Adams has several acres of the sweetest, juiciest strawberries. Bring your own container and pick all you want, or we'll be glad to pick them for you. Why buy your strawberries at the supermarket when R.O. Adams has them fresh off the vine? Just look for the signs that say R.O. Adams Strawberries on Highway 90, midway between Conway and North Myrtle Beach.
As weather reporting becomes more and more scientific, computers have become a necessary tool for the meteorologist, and Eyewitness News realizes how important weather is to our viewers. And not only does Eyewitness News have the area's only certified meteorologist, but the latest in technology. Eyewitness Weather is completely computerized, tying us into a network of satellites, radar sites, and data centers throughout the U.S. to bring you the most accurate and up-to-date information. Weather is too important to settle for second best. We deliver the best, only on TV 13, Eyewitness News.
Enjoy music at its best. Join the Florence Symphony Orchestra as they celebrate 39 years of bringing quality music to the greater Florence and PD area. From the informal pops to concerts showcasing bright young talent, including Florence's own Christopher Woods. The Florence Symphony Orchestra's 1987-88 season is alive with music at its best. Join today. For membership information, call 662-5519. The Florence Symphony Orchestra, an investment in quality music.
Men who can't love. You there, caller?
Yes, hi.
What's
I'm 27. My boyfriend's 25. We've been together for over 5 years. He hasn't made a commitment. Now I'm pregnant, and he still won't make a commitment. Do you think he's one of those guys?
Definitely.
She's still in doubt.
She's 27, he's 25, she's pregnant, and he won't make a commitment. They've been living. Have you been living for 5 years together?
We've been going steady for over 5 years.
Yes.
Get out on your own, get your confidence level up, and find someone else.
Yeah, what is it?
That happened to me exactly the same way.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following.
At Volvo, we've been safety testing our cars almost as long as we've been building them, because we want to make sure our customers keep coming back.
True Value's own Harvard brand three-piece cutlery set featuring hardwood handles and stain-free steel blades is available exclusively at True Value hardware stores.
The Drake offers an exciting weekend in New York at a special price. The only Swiss hotel on Park Avenue. For reservations, call 800-DRAKE-NEW YORK or 212-421-0900.
Wondering if this commitment problem is a current problem or something that's been going on in the past.
I think it's as old as man.
Good morning. I'm Lynn Winsko with the TV 13 Eyewitness News Break. Reports of financing shortfalls for 2 university schools have made state lawmakers anxious. Leaders of the USC Board of Trustees have said they expect donations will fall about $1 million short. At least 6 and many more are suspected. Major mining companies are combing the South Carolina countryside searching for gold. They're hoping to capitalize on the metal's rising price and new technologies. Be sure to join the TV 13 Eyewitness News team tonight.
It's Harry Carson Days. Grab your camera and join Harry Carson and friends Saturday the 9th at the Florence Memorial Stadium, 12 to 2. Harry will be signing autographs and taking pictures with everybody. It's free to all. Saturday night, 7 to 10, the curtain goes up on This Is Your Life, Harry Carson. Reception, dinner, and program at the PD Shrine Club. Advance tickets on sale now at these locations.
Harry Carson Day, sponsored by Trans-South, Coastal Coca-Cola, and Holiday Inn.
The Better Business Bureau, founded in 1916 by the consumer for the consumer.
It's an independent, nonprofit corporation which works to maintain ethical practices in the advertising and selling of products and services by businesses and to combat consumer fraud.
In addition, the BBB provides consumer information concerning business practices of local firms.
The BBB, creating and conserving public confidence in honest business.
For more information, call or write today.